Hi guys, welcome to today's lesson. And in our previous video, we started the introduction of scales and modes, okay, and how they relate to each other. We spoke about the chromatic scale and said that once you are in any root position or in any key, you just play all the notes in that scale and you get all the notes in that octave, and then you get your chromatic scale. And then we said that the chromatic scale wasn't harmonically pleasing because you can't form any harmony out of it. So there are basically other two types of scales that are harmonically pleasing, which is the pentatonic scale. All right, so we spoke about the minor pentatonic scale, and then we said it was the main structure of the pentatonic scale. All right, and that all other scales are derived from the minor pentatonic scale, even that of the major pentatonic scale. All right, okay, yes, so we arrived at that, and today we want to look at 7-note scales. Okay, 7-note scales, which are also called the diatonic scales. All right, so let's dive right into it. So a note is basically called a diatonic scale if it is a mode of the natural major scale or the major scale. Okay, so let's take C as our root position. All right, so this is the natural major scale, C. All right, so if this is our major scale, then that means that if we change the root position, okay, we get a mode. All right, we already spoke about what modes are. That once you change the root position of a parent scale, then you get what we call a mode. Okay, so if this is the major scale and then we change the root position and make it the second, the third, the fourth, or the fifth, or any other particular note in the scale, then we get what we call a mode. Okay, so I want us to mainly talk about the major scale and the minor scale in this particular video. All right, and in our subsequent videos we are going to demystify or dive deep into other modes. Okay, so let's look at the major scale. All right, most times we think of the major and the minor as very different chords. Okay, very different scales. Okay, but then I'm here to tell you that the major scale is a mode of the minor scale. All right, and the minor scale itself is a mode of the major scale. All right, so that is what makes it a diatonic scale. Okay, because remember our definition, a diatonic scale is any scale that is a variation of the major scale. All right, so once we change the root notes to the sixth mode, they still maintain the notes of the major scale. All right, only that the root note has now changed. Okay, so the minor scale and the roots and the major scale are not two different things altogether. All right, they are connected. Okay, yes, this is the relative minor, okay, the relative mode. Okay, so I'll talk more about the relative modes and parallel modes in our next video. I'll dive more into it when I'm talking about the other modes. Okay, so but then basically we want to deal with just the major and minor in this video. Okay, for beginner purposes. Okay, so let's dive into the major structure. Okay, as a beginner, attempting to find your scales or your major scale, it is very essential. Okay, this is popularly one of the scales that beginners begin with. Okay, so you will need a scale formula. All right, so the scale formula is giving us tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, which is when you take any root position, all right, say the key of E, okay, the key of E, and you want to find your E major scale. Once you're in root position, the formula says tone. All right, the next one also says tone, 1 2, semitone, 1, tone, 1 2, tone, tone, semitone. All right, so basically this is how it works. Okay, so if maybe C, the position of C, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. All right, so for a beginner attempting to understand how the major scale works, I would recommend that you check out practical videos. Okay, this section is theory restricted. Okay, so it's more of theory than how it will be practical. Okay, so that you check out the fingerings and everything for each of the major scale looks like. Okay, I'll make a video on the practical approach later. All right, but this is basically how to understand the theory behind it. Okay, so this is the major scale, right, and the scale formula and how to find it or how to approach it in any other key. All right, so once you get the major scale, which is the main structure of the diatonic scale, and you want to find the minor of that scale, then that is where we search for the mode. All right, so we search for the mode of that particular major scale. So we are in the key of C, all right, and we want to find the minor of C. That means we have to look for the sixth mode or the mode 6 of the major scale, all right, which will be 1 2 3 4 5 6, all right, which will be the A, all right, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so once we are here, it means that the scale formula also changes. Okay, the scale formula changes. So let's get into the scale formula. So once we are in root position, the scale formula becomes tone, tone. Sorry, let's take it again. Once we are in root position, the scale formula becomes tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. All right, so that is the scale formula for the minor position or the sixth mode. Okay, so this can be done for all other modes. All right, so we can take the mode 2, the mode 3, the mode 4, mode 5. Okay, and all of these have special names. Okay, and it takes more time to understand how they actually work. Okay, so that is why I want to get a separate video and then talk about the modes. Okay, their relationship with each other, and how they are, how you can understand them better. Okay, so in my next video I'm going to demystify these modes, okay, and talk about explain relative modes and parallel modes and all that. Okay, but basically what I want you to understand that the minor scale isn't any different from the major scale. Okay, so please take notes of that. All right, and understand that they are related. Okay, and that the C major scale is the parent scale, okay, of the A minor scale. All right, so that is it. And then there is a very easy way to also get it, okay, without counting the set. You can just count 3 semitones back. So 1 2 3, then you get your relative minor. All right, so if you want to find the relative minor of C sharp, you just count 3 semitones back, which will be 1 2 3. All right, so you know that B minor is the relative minor of what, the C sharp major scale. All right, so that's basically the understanding. Usually the major scale has this happy sounding and all that. It sounds pleasing harmonically, and the minor scale has this dark sound and all that. Yeah, but then that is what you need to understand about the diatonic, structure. All right, so in our next video, you're going to demystify these modes and talk more about parallel and relative modes and all that. So we're going to dive deep into it in our next video. Thanks.